Welcome to 13 Cents More, the podcast. I am E. Probilski, an author, editor, and book publisher. I have done all these different things for many years, and I am here to share book publishing insights, personal anecdotes, information about my books, and so much more. Let's get into it. Hello friends, this week we are going to talk about finding inspiration. So as I write this, I am preparing to go to a concert. I am seeing several of my favorite bands all together and I'm so excited. I'm seeing Citizen Soldier, Icon for Hire, and Sky Dxddy. And I went to another concert last month where another of my favorite bands was playing. I went to see Smash Into Pieces and Versus Me. I also recently saw Martin Barre in concert. He was the lead guitarist for Jethro Tull, and that was amazing. And in March, I saw VNV Nation, which is another favorite band of mine. Normally, I haven't really been going to a lot of concerts because they were usually very expensive, and I was looking at big bands rather than small shows, and going to them alone is terrifying. My husband has been having some health issues and hasn't been able to do things like that with me recently, but I decided that I needed to go do some stuff again. So I also did things like I attended a Society for Creative Anachronism event, the Great Northeastern War, and other things kind of flying solo. So what the hell does any of that have to do with finding inspiration? Trust me, I hear you asking it, and I'm going to explain. So until I started doing things again, I had been really struggling with an awful dry spell in my writing. I'd been beating my head against a wall of a book that just didn't want to get written, and I was really frustrated with it. I'd been stuck there for months, and it wasn't getting better. And it wasn't until I started engaging with things I enjoyed doing again that I started finding that the words came back. So let me be very clear here. I'm not saying you need to go to concerts or do anything specific to find inspiration, but in order to find inspiration and rekindle your creativity, you have to feed it. Every individual is going to have different ways you feed your creative side. I'm not going to tell you how to do it because you're going to have your own journey with this, but you do need to feed that creativity in order to accomplish what you want to accomplish. Another thing I want to give a nod to right now is that in the United States, I can't speak for everywhere, but I also know that other places in the world are having issues with this too. The current political climate is really stressful. It's a lot. I'm not here to talk party politics. That's not what this podcast and my blog are about. But I will say that if you spend a lot of time really digging deep into the news cycle on any side right now, you are going to be a mess. News outlets right now are like 24/7 rage and fear a lot of the time as we head into the election, and trying to keep up with everything is just going to wring your emotions and you dry. It's going to leave you exhausted and not really up to doing things, and it will actually steal your creativity rather than feed it. To be clear, I'm not saying not to stay informed as we head into our election season, because you absolutely need to stay informed, but don't do it in a way that's going to hurt you. Finding inspiration when we're in a time and place that really wants us on edge and scared is difficult. And there's inspiration to be found in fear and anger. You can draw from those to create, but I recommend trying to limit your intake of things that create those emotions, simply because it will just leave you in a bad mental health place, and that will make it really hard to be creative. With all of that said, where do we look for our inspiration in the world as it is right now, when everything feels like terror and chaos a lot of the time? So I have a few suggestions for that. I want to start with the recommendation of listening to music that really makes you feel things. There can be the things can be good, they can be difficult, whatever emotions you're trying to put on the page. Listen to music that makes you feel that way, and whatever music kind of inspires you. So maybe something more uplifting, unless you really want some catharsis. Spending time engaging with art, however you can. Whether you're going to a museum or a gallery or an exhibition, or just scroll through an artist's website or portfolio online, look at and enjoy art. It can oftentimes lead to inspiration, and it will feed that creative side of you. In that same vein, read things that make you feel or imagine things, things that really resonate with you. Whether it is something uplifting or something difficult, poetry is particularly good for this. But you can read just about anything that makes you feel something and makes you feel, inspired, that draws your emotions into places. Another way is spending time in natural spaces if you can. It doesn't matter if you walk or hike or if you just sit somewhere. Anywhere with grass or outside that you can possibly get to can help. While walking does have scientific benefits, I also know that a lot of people just can't. And if you can't walk or aren't up to it, just spending some time outside in any way you're able to will help. Next, I think that people watching can be very inspirational. So watch people around you in the context of paying attention to what they're doing. Think about how you describe them, imagine what they're doing with their day, like spend some time just kind of daydreaming about that sort of thing. It can be an interesting way to explore some creativity. Next, try and find the beauty in everyday life, whether it's like a particular sunbeam that looks neat on the carpet, or like the sound of wind in trees, the way some really delicious food smells, your cat being adorable, whatever it is, actively look for beauty. Like, make it intentional, like make it part of your process where you look for beautiful things to notice and take in. That helps feed that creative space in you. And that mindset of looking for beauty can also help you write, and you can create beauty in your words. Next, talk to subjects about, talk with other people about subjects you're passionate about that aren't like negative things. So talk to friends that you know are going to be just as hyped as you about, say, a video game you're into, a TV series, a book series, I don't know, whatever it is. But find a way to have a conversation with another person about something you're very passionate about and excited about, and you'll walk away feeling good, usually, about that. It doesn't need to be somebody you know. Might be a community you're part of online, though I do know that there are a lot of toxic fan spaces out there, so be careful. But spend some time with some uplifting and positive fan spaces, and it might actually help you feel better about everything. Next, engage with some positive content online or in your world. I personally really like the Good News Network myself. They have some really wonderful articles, and they share positive, uplifting, or interesting things that happen in the world. And I think that's a great way to uplift your spirits and maybe help you imagine things. Or if you're online, engage with happy posts that your friends share, or things that just make you feel good and positive. And again, I'm suggesting you avoid politics and stuff for the purposes of this. I'm not saying not to be informed, but politics rarely makes you feel really good. And if it is, well, examine your politics closely. Finally, spend some time with people who raise your spirits. This could be family, this could be friends, this could be just hanging out with your bestie. You can do this online if that is what you have available to you. I know there are people who can't go out anymore, really, or people for whom their closest individuals are a very long ways away. So if you just like hop into a Zoom call or just even text people, whatever that time is, whatever that looks like for you, spending time that way will help refill the well and maybe help you with your creativity and refill some of that joy in life that we have to have in order to write anything. Obviously, this list is not the only options for finding creativity. Like, it's not the only thing that will help you be inspired, but I think it's a pretty decent start at finding things that will inspire you. And I've experienced positive results with all of the things on that list personally. There's no one-size-fits-all option for everyone. Like, there's different physical availability levels, income, time limitations, all that kind of stuff. So obviously, don't do what you can't do. But a lot of these things don't require much for financial or physical or even time investment. So find things that fit your life and fit you. And if you can read this post or listen to the podcast that I'm giving you right now, you can find media you can consume that will be rewarding. Music, art, podcasts, stories. There are things on Wattpad or AO3 for free. You can listen to YouTube podcasts. There are so many ways that you can connect with good things or positive things or uplifting things that refill that inspirational well that don't have to cost money or require a lot of physical availability. While, yes, obviously for me, I love hiking and going and spending some time in nature is great for me, I also recognize that is not available to everybody. So do what you can, where you can, when you can, with what you have. I think also we just need to really acknowledge that things are hard right now. like particularly for AFAB people, assigned female at birth, queer people, people of color, trans people, disabled people, and honestly, like people who are being really hurt by inflation and housing issues. Like the world is hard right now and it is scary. And as somebody who fits into multiple of those categories myself, I really feel a lot of pressure with the way the world is turning. The election is scary. There's a lot of pressure on that. I feel that the X under the gender marker on my driver's license could be used to cause me serious harm in the immediate future if this election goes bad ways. I'm scared for the future of the people around me who could end up pregnant. I'm terrified for my trans siblings who are on hormones. I'm scared for them, like, if they'll lose their kids. I'm scared what could happen to my healthcare because there's a real chance I could end up without healthcare if some of these things go through. And at that point, I would just be expected to have the good graces to lie down and die because my healthcare is life-saving. But I understand all of that. That said, like in the darkest places, no matter how grim everything seems, no matter how hopeless it feels, there's still beauty and joy and peace. And sometimes you have to chase those things intentionally and find them. Even if it's in something like seeing my cat sleeping in a sunbeam on the floor, or curled up in a bag being cute, or my bird being goofy, or a joke my husband tells me, or maybe a flower I see growing in the yard, a song that really makes me happy. All of these things can help drive inspiration in our lives and help us find that feeding our creative self. But it doesn't just happen in a vacuum. You have to do it on purpose. You have to intentionally chase that filling your creative well and looking for things that fill it rather than take away from it. I hope you have a great week. I will see you all next week. As usual, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, or if you want to make comments down below about things that you've found inspiring and help other people maybe find their inspiration, please consider doing that. I would love to hear what inspires you and where you go to find that inspiration and that joy when everything is particularly difficult like it is now.